Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Teams Nation, and thanks for joining this session about Viva Connections, where I will be explaining you how you can configure Viva Connections and how you can create multiple Viva Connections experiences so different profiles inside of your organization can see different things on Viva Connections and different layouts on Viva Connections. So before we jump into the session, a brief introduction about myself. My name is João Ferreira. I'm from Portugal and I'm based in Porto. And I'm a Microsoft 365 development MVP. Been working in this ecosystem for the last 12 years. Started my career as a SharePoint developer. So I started with Office 365, moved to a Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Online, and I'm still in this ecosystem today. Wrote two books, one about Microsoft Teams, another one about Microsoft Lists, and I have a blog, Hands on Tech, where I write quite a lot about these three topics: SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Lists, almost on a daily basis. So before we jump into the customizations and into the layout of Viva Connections, let's first discuss what is Viva Connections. For those of you that are not yet familiar with the concept of Viva Connections, or even for those of you that tried Viva Connections when it was first released 2 years ago and were a bit disappointed by the experience back then. So let me tell you what is Viva Connections in the current day. So Viva Connections is the gateway for your modern employee experience, and Microsoft built it as an entry point for your intranet directly from Microsoft Teams. It's an application that you have available in Microsoft Teams both on desktop and mobile, and it displays content that you have stored or that someone else created inside of your SharePoint intranet. So this is basically what Viva Connections is. And in here, what you see in this image is the latest version of Viva Connections. Like I told you, if you test this in the early days of Viva Connection when it was first released, and if you run away from it, I don't blame you. It was a bad product. Microsoft tried to rush it to release it, and that was just an empty canvas that you had to assemble yourself with a few web parts and PowerShell and things like that. Well, it was not an easy and pleasant experience for the admins, and because of that, end users never seen the full potential. But Microsoft realized that. They released a version 2 that I don't have here to show you because no one sees that anymore. And what you see in this image is version 3, using the Viva Connections layout interface. This is not the only interface, as we will see during the session, that you can use, but this is the default out-of-the-box layout for Viva Connections today. So at the top, you have the notifications, the alerts, then you have the news customized to the user that it's opening Viva Connections. You have the dashboard, and this is the main piece of Viva Connections. This is what will give access to content inside of the intranet to your users in the desktop. But when you use it in mobile, this is the first thing that the user will see. When you open Viva Connections in mobile, you land immediately in the dashboard. So this is super important to be properly configured. And then you have the quick links from your organization. And at the bottom, if you have other applications from the Viva suite, then you will have shortcuts here for other applications as well. So old, new, modern Viva Connections. This is kind of crazy if we think that Viva Connections only has 2 years, and we are already in the third iteration. This is a solid one, and if you are not yet using Viva Connections, this is the time for you to jump on it now because it's solid, it's robust, it has all the features that Microsoft envisioned for it that were first announced 2 years ago. So it's ready for its prime time. And just to show you how things worked in the past, and this path is not yet abandoned. It's something that you can create still today if you want to build something that leverages all the investment you did already in your intranet. If you already built home sites, if you have your intranet already assembled, and if you spend a lot of time and money building your landing page for the intranet, you can bring that to Viva Connections as a landing page of your Viva Connections and complement the experience with the Viva Connections web parts like the dashboard. So this was the original experience. You had to create a home site, and then you had to assemble things manually with all the web parts. And this is a SharePoint site where you then add the feed, the dashboard, the hero with the news, and you can complement this with other SharePoint web parts. So this is still a valid path for those of you that already invested time and money in your intranet and have home sites built for the organization. If not, then jump right into the layout that Microsoft provides and gradually start configuring it. And eventually, in the end, you can have both experiences and allow the users to switch from one to the other, as we will see. So let's abandon this PowerPoint and let's jump right into the configuration area. Let me bring this window here. So to configure Viva Connections as an admin, you need to go to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And then once in the Admin Center, under Settings, you will see this option here for Viva. And in Viva, you will see all the applications that you have access to. This will depend on the licensing that, that the organization has. But for this one, what we will do is Viva Connections. And once you land into Viva Connections, the first thing that you will see is this option to create and manage Viva Connections experiences, install Viva Connections for your organization in Teams, and pin Viva Connections in Teams. Everything, it's optional, and these are basically instructions that explain you how you can leverage Viva Connections and how you can take more out of it. So let's create an experience. And before we jump into the experiences, think about experiences as tailored experiences for different departments. If you have a department for HR and a department for marketing or a department for the C-level, for instance, probably you don't want to display the same content across all of them. You might want to, but you may want to display something different that it's more tailored to those users. And Viva Connections experiences allow you to do that. Obviously, you need to be licensed with the full Viva Suite or with the Viva Connections communication license in order to be able to create multiple experiences. In case you are not, then with the out-of-the-box Viva Connections license that it's included in all the tenants, you are able to create just one experience, but that will not be the end of the world because still you can target the content and the dashboard to different users, as we will see. So first, let's create our first experiences. Our first experience, regardless if we are licensed or not, this is how things start. You click here. You land into this page. I'm licensed. I already have 3 experiences here, but if I had not, I had to create here in the create experience. And this is where things start to get interesting. You can create a connections experience without a home site if you are starting fresh, and if you don't know yet where this will lead you to, or if you already invested time and money in your communication site, then this is the experience you should go with. So let's first start with create a connection experience. I will type here Teams Nation this will immediately create a SharePoint site in the back. And this SharePoint site at this moment is only used to store the assets for the dashboard. It will be completely empty, and the only thing that will be there, it's the dashboard. Later on, if you want to transform this in a more advanced experience with the home site, then you will be able to do that. Hit next, create experience. And well, demo gods are not with us, so we got an error. Thankfully, we have already other experiences in here. And what I wanted to show you with the experiences and with the creation process is that you can target the audiences that will see the experiences. And when you target an experience, you do that by defining the group that will see the experience. And there is a rule for the experiences to work. You start to order these experiences always by setting to the top the experiences with less groups applied. And eventually you end up with an experience that it's defined to everyone. So if there are users that are not catched by any of these audiences, then they will fall back to the experience that it's defined to everyone. If the user is catched by one of these groups or it belongs to one of the groups, you will see the experience that is defined for that specific group. And that I think I'm able to show here. If I edit this in the audiences, if I edit this audience, this was the second step of the creation. if it was working, where you define what are the experiences and what the user sees inside of the Viva connection. So this is how you create things. Then once the experience is created, it doesn't mean that the user will immediately see that. And even after it's been created, it does not show anything to you. As you can see, you only have them here. So to edit and modify the experience as the administrator, you need to go to Microsoft Teams, search for the Viva Connections application. I already have it here. I'll have it pinned to the top. That's one of the things recommended by Microsoft. So you increase the engagement with the Viva Connections application. And once you land in here, then as an administrator, you will see a bunch of edit buttons for all the sections available in here. And this is what allows you to customize the experience for your end users. I will focus on the dashboard because this is what actually adds value to the Viva Connection experience. And I will show you how you can add more cards and how you can target cards to different groups if you only have one experience available. So when you first create it, you will get by default this 4 or 5 top cards. I have the cafeteria menu that it's a custom card that I built for this experience specifically, but this is what you get by default. If you want to delete it, this works exactly like it does with the SharePoint page. And even the card picker, it's similar to a web art picker in a SharePoint page. And this is because what you have here is a SharePoint page, a custom, a special type of SharePoint page. And these are special types of web arts that are called ACEs, adaptive card extensions, that are built with SharePoint framework or can be built and extended with SharePoint framework and are installed like any other web art. And that's why things look like this. So if you want to start customizing the dashboard, then you just need to select the web art that you want to display. Instead of top news, let me go here and select news from a specific site. So you can see something displayed in the card. I'll get the news from my intranet. To preview how things look like, you need to click in the preview button. And from here, then you can see how the cards behave. You can see if it looks how you expect. It's very important that you test it also in mobile so you don't end up with empty spaces in the cards, in the layout. So for example, if I change this card here, this topics card, to a large card, it might look good in desktop, but then when you go to mobile, right at the top, you will have an empty space. So to make sure that this doesn't happen, always test your cards on both desktop and mobile before publishing the dashboard. So to make sure that you provide the best experience possible to your end users. So this is how you configure the dashboard and how you add content to the dashboard. And as I told you, in order to create different experiences, you need to have Viva Communications or the Viva Suite license to create more than one experience. If that's not the case, and if you want to try this with what is included in your Microsoft 365 licenses, you can also create different experiences using the dashboard only, because every single card that you create here, provided that it's provided by Microsoft, I'm not talking about third-party ACE cards, those need to implement this feature, but the out-of-the-box ones that you have here, they have the audience targeting. So even if you are only allowed to create one experience, then your experience can be modular and display different content to different users based on those groups. So here, if I want to, for example, target this card just to the business as unusual members, then they will be the only ones seeing this card. This will make things a bit harder for you to customize the mobile layout, because you will never know what is visible to what user. My recommendation is then to use just small cards or just large cards to make sure that they fit and they don't leave empty spaces in the dashboard. So I'm happy with this configuration. I will hit the republish button. And once I republish it, it becomes immediately available so other users can see it in here. As you can see, there are a few more edit buttons here. You can change and customize the background of the top section so it matches the branding of your organization. There's the resources section that you can also customize and add more links so users access to different areas of the organization. And here, again, if you have a single experience, Viva Connections, you can target the audiences here. There's a slightly difference, actually a big difference in number in terms of what you can do with targeting. I don't know why this happens, but the resources can be targeted to 10 different groups, but the cards can be targeted to 50 different groups. Either way, well, you will have to play with this difference between one and the other, but well, at least it allows you to create different resources based on different groups inside of the organization. So this is the single experience. I'll save it so you can see that it works. Now, what I want to show you is a scenario where I had previously invested time and money in the SharePoint intranet landing page, and I want to show you how that then works in Viva Connections. And since I'm an administrator, I will switch to this intranet experience. And as you can see, this one, it's completely different. It has content at the top because I have news already in this site that are targeted to the site, and resources, it's empty, but the dashboard, it's also different. What I want to show you, and this does not display well, but what I have here, it's the logo of the intranet portal, which means that if the user lands into an experience that has one of these experiences that has a home site attached, built with a home site. And when he lands into it in Viva Connections, by default, he will land in here, but he knows that there's something more behind the scenes, and that's something more that the organization built for him that it's not in here. So by clicking in the logo of the intranet, we land into the SharePoint site, into the home site directly inside of Viva Connection. And this is still Viva Connections. And in here, I have a lot more things. And I have company events, quick links, this section in here, and I can complement this if I want to with more web parts from Viva Connections. This doesn't have the dashboard, for example, but if that is important for me to get the dashboard, I can add it. This page, and let me quickly add a vertical section in here and search for the dashboard web part. Here is Viva Connections dashboard, and immediately I'll get my dashboard from Viva Connections also into my home site. So no matter where the user now is accessing to the experience, he's seeing the same dashboard, the value that Viva Connections adds to the organization. Then if I want to revert back to the Viva Connections in Microsoft Teams, you will see this button that only appears, this is the Viva Connections logo, and it only appears in the SharePoint site when it's displayed inside the Viva Connection, and this allows me to go back to the Viva Connections experience. Obviously, as an admin and being part of all the experience, it didn't land in here, but in a perfect configuration world, the user will only be assigned to one experience, and when it's switched back, he lands exactly in the experience that it's defined in here. So this is how you configure and how you create the dashboard and how you make the Viva Connections available in Microsoft Teams, but this doesn't mean that your users know already how to use Viva Connections and how to see Viva Connections in Microsoft Teams. They will not know that Viva Connections is there for them to use if you don't put it visible and if you don't install it for them immediately. And when you go to the Viva configuration in the Admin Center, and when you click into Viva Connections, it has this install Viva Connections for your organization in Teams, and this explains you how you can install Viva Connections for the organization in Teams. If you click in this button, then you will land into the Teams Admin Center, and from here, then you will be able to install the obviously, well, this was not a smart move. Okay, let's sign in again. And while we are doing this, okay, Teams apps. There we go. In the Teams apps, in the setup policies, let me open the global. You will be able to install applications to all the users by adding the app in here. And then you will be able also to pin the app to the top or pin the app to the left rail here. It doesn't need to be to the top, but then the users, if it's pinned to the top, then the users will see it and view it right at the top, and they will be able to identify the app. What if you've spent time building your intranet, it's not called Viva Connections. Users will not know what Viva Connections is. In my case, for example, my intranet, it's called Explorer. And my users know that the intranet, it's Explorer. When we reference something about our intranet, we don't say the intranet, we say the Explorer. And I want to make this visible in Viva Connections as well. So that is possible also. So if you go to the Manage Apps, and if you search for Viva Connections, ignore these two because they are old Viva Connections apps that I installed. The Viva Connections from Microsoft Corporation, it's customizable. And this is actually great because it allows you to change the name of the app. If I want, I can call it Explorer so the users will know exactly what it is. And I can change also the description, all the policy links, and the icon that will allow the users to relate this to the intranet that I've built previously. Once you are happy with it, click apply, and in a few seconds, then you will see in the experience changing in here. So this is how you configure it and how things work. Before we go into the questions, let me just show you in this 2 minutes that I have left. Then what version should you use? Should you use the version with a home site? Should you use the out-of-the-box version? Should you combine both? Well, it's up to you, and it's up to what you've built already inside of your organization. So this is Viva Connections in desktop, and that is Viva Connections in mobile. And as you can see, they will be radically different. For the users always on the go, when they land into the mobile version of Viva Connections, they will see the dashboard, the feed, and the resources. They will not see any of this. But if they take value out of this when they're using Viva Connections in the desktop, then make the home site available for them as well. Even though they will not see it by default, when they land into the Viva Connections experience, they will be able to switch between one and the other. If you don't have anything built yet, and if you want to start working around Viva Connections, then go with the out-of-the-box experience. This will be more in line with what you have in the mobile version. And again, dashboard, feed, and resources is what you see there, plus the alerts or announcements if you have them there. News are not displayed in there, but you can make them available with the news card if you want to later on. And this is pretty much what I had to explain you in just 30 minutes. I tried to condense this to the most to explain you how you can configure multiple experiences with and without having a Viva suite or a Viva Communications license. And in case you want to reach out after the session, feel free to do it by mail or ping me directly on Twitter or LinkedIn or through the blog, and I will get right back to you with more information about it. I will leave the slide here to the session. Please rate it. It's important for the organization to know how it went, and also for the speaker. And now let's see what we have in the chat. I